Good afternoon, everyone. It is wonderful to be here with you today in Athens. As I was listening to the Prime Minister's remarks this morning, I was reminded of when I was a little girl. And I was 7 years old when my grandfather took me to go scuba diving for the first time. We were in the south of France, and we went out on this little boat, and he'd brought equipment for me that didn't fit me very well. I was tall and very skinny, and the scuba tanks felt heavy on my back, and the mask was a little bit too big, and the regulator felt heavy in my mouth. But he came up next to me, and we shuffled to the end, and I looked down at this dark water. And I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I can't do this. And I looked at my grandfather. He looked at me. He gave me a wink, and he pushed me in. So there I was, treading water and taking tentative breaths with the regulator at the surface. And finally, I took a full breath. This thing worked. And so I started swimming down. And when I looked up, I saw all of these little silver fish that were swimming towards me, and the light was coming down through the surface of the water, and it was sparkling on their little bodies. I'm sure you've seen this here in the Aegean. And it felt like I was in the middle of fireworks. And it was this magical moment when I realized that this is what my family was all about. But when I came back up to the surface, I looked back at shore, and it was the first time I'd had that perspective. Because I'd always looked at the ocean from the community, but I'd never looked back at the community from the ocean. And I realized from that perspective how important the ocean is to the places that we call home, the places where we live, where we love, where we raise our children. And I think when I'm here in Greece, there's no place on earth that understands that connection better than the Greeks. Because to have a truly vibrant, prosperous community, you need to have a healthy and abundant ocean. Now, the Greek mythology has always been close to my family. From my grandfather's ship that was named Calypso, to the Greek myths that my children listened to when they were falling asleep at night, to the conversations we have with my husband, who is a fanatic for Greek philosophy, around the kitchen table in the evenings. And I think that that relationship that you have had with the ocean for all these thousands of years, that has shaped your culture, your food, your philosophy, even the notion of democracy, it traveled out and it shaped our Western world. And that has been one of the greatest gifts that Greece has given to the rest of us. But right now, we're living in an age that is defined by disruption. Economic disruption, political disruption, social disruption, and environmental disruption. Since my grandfather first started exploring the oceans 70 years ago and revealing the abundance of the underwater world, we've lost half of the life in the ocean. That's half of the whales, half of the fish, half of the seabirds. Almost 80% of our coral reefs are gone. And when I think about that, I realize that it is obviously distressing how quickly things can be lost, but it reminds me also of the opportunity that we have today to bring it back. For too long, our conversations around the environment have been about loss and not renewal. It's been about degradation and not abundance. It's been about sustaining what we have left rather than rebuilding what we've lost. And the reason for that is because we've turned the ocean into a charity. It's why it's the least funded of the SDGs. It's why we're struggling to support conservation projects around the world. And that is only because we have forgotten that the ocean is a driver for climate, for trade, for food, for economy. The things like mangroves and coral reefs and seagrass beds are infrastructure that protect our communities, that feed our families, that bring prosperity to our fishermen and to our communities. And so we have a moment now to embrace the idea that abundance can come back and feed our society. Here in Athens, we are bringing the Blue Cities Alliance to the city. The Blue Cities Alliance we're building is a global initiative where cities can become drivers for renewal. And by renewing the abundance in the ocean, bring prosperity back to the cities that depend on them. And Athens is the first of the Blue Cities from around the world, and we are drawing on all of the things that I mentioned. Your stories, your culture, your history, but also some of the initiatives that are already happening in Greece. One of the things that I find most inspiring is what the Prime Minister has been doing for creating marine parks in Greece that are fully protected. Why is that important? Well, Greece is the first country in Europe to protect their marine parks. And that is an extraordinary achievement because none of the other countries in Europe are doing that. That means that there is no destructive fishing in your parks, that they can become places where nature can come back and thrive and spill over, feed the fisheries, feed the communities, and feed the ocean. This kind of leadership is what we hope to expand with the Blue Cities Alliance. And imagine when, from Athens, we're able to expand out into the world. When Blue Cities go from Athens to Barcelona, to Lisbon, to Singapore, to New York. That will be a global coalition that can bring life back to the oceans because from cities, we get national priorities. So this, I think, is the moment when we can embrace this idea that it's not too late, that the oceans can thrive again, that they can feed our cultures and bring us, in many ways, back to life. Resilience in the face of climate change, prosperity in the face of uncertainty. And I invite you all to be part of this initiative that we will be launching very soon, from Athens into the world. Thank you so much.